My name is Rahul, and welcome to all the participants, and also welcome to our guest Adarsh. And in a minute, I'll kind of introduce Adarsh to everybody. So, as you know, today we are here to kind of discuss that if you join an MBA program, like a good MBA program like UPES, and you want to earn a salary, and you want to earn a good salary. Everybody gets a job, but not where everybody gets a good salary. And so we were thinking that, before you come and join our campus, why don't we like have a session on and how does it actually get to a good salary, either immediately after an MBA or a few years after an MBA. And I was thinking like, what's a good salary like? Like, what is a salary that you can tell your mother, and say, what, mummy, aaj matlab मैंने मेरी salary 1 crore रुपए है. Yeah. And I thought, the kind of joy and happiness that will bring into your parents' face if you tell them now I've got a salary of 1 crore of rupees. And so I thought, and I reached out to Adarsh, who I've known, and Adarsh is a partner at Stanton Chase, and it's a search firm, and Adarsh is probably, one of the best people in the country to tell us that if you aspire to get 1 million, 1 crore rupees, $1 million, maybe after MBA, maybe 10 years down the line, then what is the art and science behind this? And so that is what this webinar is all about. So the way this is going to flow is that Adarsh will take a few minutes to kind of, take us through this whole process of actually becoming so valuable that you will get a 1 crore rupee salary. And then we'll kind of, have an interaction. I'll ask some questions to others that are in my mind, and then we can open it to everybody. I think there's a chat function through which you can ask questions, and then either Adarsh and I will try and answer these questions. So, Adarsh, does it sound like a plan?
Yeah, this sounds like a plan. Rahul, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very, very excited to interact with potential students of UPS or wherever these students decide to join and build a career. I think it's a great thing to do, join a good management program and also to understand how that program will help build your career. I'm happy to share my experiences as a search consultant. We work with multiple Indian and international organizations for their leadership hiring. Stanton Chase is in about 48 countries with about 85 offices. We've got 550 partners all over the world. And our specialization is we work with large companies to do the leadership hiring. And we've hired in India people at $1 million also. I've hired them, and we regularly hire people at 1 crore rupee. So there are some hygiene factors which are involved whenever you're hiring somebody at the leadership level. I'm happy to walk through small fun presentation that I've made, which should probably open up a good discussion. Should I just walk through the presentation, Rahul, and then we can have a question and answer?
Yes,
Great.
I think. Yeah,
So
please.
yeah. So today's session is कौन बनेगा करोड़पति? I mean, we'll keep it simple. So we'll say a good salary is 1 crore rupees. A good salary can also be 50 lakhs, can also be 25 lakhs, can also be 5 crore rupees. To make it round figure, we'll say chalo crorepati, kaun bane crorepati, and what's a beginner's guide? So when you're looking at a salary of 1 crore rupee, it is possible that some of you will end up earning that salary within 5 to 10 years. Some of you may take a little more time, and some of you could be somewhere in between. Most of you would probably come from science, arts, or commerce. This is one of my favorite movies, which the words science, arts, commerce are relevant over here because I'll bring them again at the end of this discussion. But when we start a management program or when we do an MBA, we have no clue हम करेंगे क्या future में. Very few of us have a clear idea कि we will end up working in automobile industry or textile industry, or we'll go into politics, or like Chetan Bhagat, do engineering, then MBA, work in a bank, and end up becoming a writer. So there are we all come from different backgrounds and with the same expectation कि कुछ तो करना है, we need to do something big, और वो बड़ी वाली सैलरी चाहिए, that the number could be a crore rupee, could be more than that also. So when we come into a management program, either you come from science, arts, humanities, commerce, whichever is your background. I personally believe that each one of us has at least one superpower. Now, people come from different backgrounds. For example, uh, Tony Stark, Iron Man. So typically, a person seen as he would probably have a scientific background, right? So what are the qualities you will associate with a person like Tony Stark? Visionary, very, very unapologetic, very bold, a builder, aggressive, self-made, firm believer in science, processes. On the other side, I mean, I'm hoping and presuming that most of you have seen the movie Captain America and the series of movies. The question, why did the scientists choose this young man who was the most unfit person in that platoon to become Captain America? Inclusive, righteous, sacrifices. These are certain values which are associated with Captain America, which they have shown throughout the movie system. And then, of course, you have people, commerce, very stable, resourceful, underplay their strength, data, information, wealth, number driven. You know what is common between all of them? All of these people have this common. They all have leadership traits are very strong. They are strategists, they are visionary. When you look at these things, so are the villains. They also have all these three things. So when you are looking at a CXO role, at a leadership role, between somebody who's a hero who leads an organization or a villain, there has to be a difference. What is that difference? Mental health and emotional intelligence. This is the step zero of our discussion. Throughout your interviews that you will give from now for the next 15, 20, 25 years, if you're an employee or if you become an employer also, these are the things which somebody will evaluate either in you or you will evaluate in other, if other things are all given. This is, for example, me at Sagarmatha National Park. This was, I think, around 21st of March. Sagarmatha is the local name for Mount Everest in Nepal. So me and a friend, we went to Mount Everest base camp. It was an experience of a lifetime. So you have to be in a student mode. You have to learn. You have to do things differently. To learn things, you have to be fit. You have to be hungry. You have to say, I want to learn something new. Only then you will learn. A good leader who is growing professionally will always be asking this question, what can I learn? How can I do things differently? So in your journey to get into that leadership role, this is where you need to begin. You have to identify, first of all, your own strength. What is your strength? What do you bring to the table? For example, you're an engineer. Are you a management graduate? Can you speak three languages? Do you play sports? What else can you do? What have you achieved in your current and previous roles? Now imagine 10 years from now, after you finished your postgrad, you're working in an organization. You could be working for a pharma company. You could be working for telecommunications company. Somebody will ask you, what have you achieved in this role? So that is your strength. And a question like, what can you solve a problem? For example, if you have solved a supply chain problem for an organization, you understand it very well. That will become your strength. That will lead you to roles which take you to the next level. This is me. I've been awarded the best performer of Southeast Asia, I think fourth year in a row. So what is my strength? My strength is to be a rainmaker. That's my strength. Can I do other things? My answer is yes, I can. But it would make more sense for me to continue building on my strengths rather than chase things which may not be my strength. So if you have identified what you're good at, I would suggest continue building on that. Your second step, do your research. Just don't take a job. I mean, even if you go for an interview, let's say you join UPES for a management program, you finish that program, you're going to sit for an interview, do your research, find out about that sector, find out about the the companies over there, which are your ideal companies. Identify top three companies. You should be ambitious. Identify, let's say, for example, you think you would want to work in retail, in uh, in garments. So you should say, you know what, I would love to work for Aditya Birla or Reliance. You should look at, be ambitious, figure out who are the people at the leadership level, what has been their academic and professional journeys. This will give you a lot of knowledge. You'll understand ki how do they hire people? Do they prefer to have chartered accountants who succeed? Do they prefer to have sales people who succeed? And then again, figure out, is there a problem that you can solve? This, for example, are a lot of brands owned by Aditya Birla Group. Each one of them would have multiple CXOs at various levels, CMO, CEO, CFO, CTO. But when you look at the skills of all these people, they would all be a combination of people with expertise in numbers, empathy, leadership, science, technology. It's a it's a combination of all of these. So each one of you is equally qualified to be at the leadership level. Each one of you. It doesn't make a difference whether you've done in engineering or you've done any other program before this. As in life, to go somewhere, you have to leave from somewhere. I mean, I could easily give an example from ये जवानी है दीवानी. I think it is कहीं पहुंचने के लिए कहीं से तो निकलना होता. And then this is truly one of the most important slides in this presentation, in this discussion. What differentiates you? The first is the hard-coded data, which is like science. Your education, you cannot undo, can't change. Your experience, once you've worked in an organization, that's hard-coded into your resume. If you worked in an organization, that's culture, that organization will partly define you. Let's say you manage a sales team, the size of the team, the revenue that you manage. These are the data which cannot be undone. These get hard-coded. This is like science. 2 plus 2 is always 4. Your leadership style, your communication skills, your social skills. This is like arts. And then is commerce, finance, your salary. How's your salary structured? Fixed, variable, ESOP benefits. The art, science, and commerce at this level, whenever you are being hired, whether it is the HR, whether it is the headhunter, a combination of these three will define whether you are the right fit for a certain role or not. For example, leadership style can easily be evaluated through a psychometric test. A lot of this can get data driven. I think, Rahul, I may want to open up this for everybody. These are three people, most of the participants would have seen these people. Any idea, anybody, what's the first word which comes into mind? How do you know them? Why are they known? A common thing which is between all of them. Anybody, you can write in chat.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, guys, please use the chat function too.
Yeah, anybody, just one word.
So I think Tanishka writes Kusha Kapila for confidence, for her bold confidence.
True, true. Um, my, in my opinion, all three are known because they're visible.
Okay.
They're visible in their industries. So that's my last takeaway from this. Be visible. You have to be visible to be found. It could be you are active on LinkedIn, you are on Medium, it could be Instagram, it could be a podcast or Bumble for network. Bumble here is not for dating. So please don't go home and say UPS said, वहाँ पे आदर्श निगम एक आए थे वेबिनार में, उन्होंने बोला बम्बल डाउनलोड करिए. डेटिंग के लिए नहीं, ये नेटवर्किंग के लिए बम्बल है. Or it could be, if you are a coder, a GitHub could be a great place to get discovered. Or it could be your resume on Naukri, Indeed, Monster, or any such website. How are you visible? It is not just visible. How are you visible? Are you visible as somebody who's a problem solver? Are you visible as somebody who is a seeker for a job? Everybody likes to hire people who are confident, who are providing a solution, or who are not looking for jobs. If you're visible, it could be you are writing a white paper, you are in a conference, you are writing editorial for Times of India or Mint. You have to be visible. Being visible will make a huge amount of difference when it is a selection of you versus somebody else, because your visibility will add a certain amount of value to the organization that you're going to join. I am presuming that many of you would have not seen this movie, and there is a specific reason this slide has been put. This is a very, very, very famous dialogue from a movie called Jerry Maguire, and which Tom Cruise is saying, "Show me the money." And it will boil down eventually to these three things. When you have to be hired, somebody will hire you for your strengths, somebody will hire you for the results that you have given, and they will hire you also because you are visible. A combination of these three um, is deadly. If you can manage all this in the right manner, which means have a great institution for your education, work in good companies, deliver results over there, be an empathetic leader, manage a large team, or be an individual contributor and deliver results over there, and are also visible. That's a recipe for being a superstar. Um, I think we can pause it here.
Thanks, Adarsh. I think very, very informative. And you know, when you said that your second last slide was probably the most important slide. And you know what? And I'd seen this slide earlier, but when you showed it to everybody,
Hmm.
um, the things that were going in my mind was that what is that we are doing at UPS and when the students are at the B school to build some of these things, right? Because people comes with very, very different starting points. Some people have work X, some people have no work experience, some are just coming straight out of college. So I was thinking, leadership style,
Yeah.
communication skills, social skills. Now, if you see a typical MBA graduate from our school would go through at least two long business communication classes where you will learn
Hmm.
about corporate etiquettes, how do you communicate in teams, how do you have interpersonal communication, and there are variety of opportunities to, um, learn how do you communicate well. So that's one. The second is this year we are also launching what we call an individual project where everybody is going to get an opportunity to build something like a
Wow.
podcast, an Instagram channel, a LinkedIn channel, something which helps them being visible. And this will happen right in kind of, day one. It is sort of their portfolio, which normally used to have in design schools. And then there are clubs, there are societies, there are group projects where you get opportunities to build your leadership skills and social skills. And so if you see a part of a good MBA is that you build skills as you go through your kind of course. And like any good MBA at UPS also, we have integrated a lot of these things for our students. Now, it's of course it's a question of how much effort students will put into
Yeah.
this. But if they want to kind of benefit from it, by structure, it is in kind of place. And likewise, in terms of, education, of course, they come here, they go somewhere else. That's going to be like stamped on them. Experience through internships if you don't have experience of working before. So you build that experience. And then finally, I think as a school and as a university, our job is to bring good companies to campus, right?
Yeah.
Right. We can train you to get to these companies. But you very nicely explained that, let's say if you want to get a job in a good company, you will have to do the basic work of
Yeah.
finding out what they do,
Yeah.
what kind of people they are hiring, look up their LinkedIn posts, look at what latest announcement you do that, so that you differentiate yourself from the other guys also sitting in that company. So I think it was um, very, very informative. And I loved the way you said that if you want to be found, you have to be visible.
Yeah.
Like if you're not visible, then others she's not going to search you on LinkedIn. So you have to be there. You have to. And you have to be relevant also. Like you
You
can't
have to
be
be. That's
like
right.
I can't be doing like things which are not relevant. Just go to LinkedIn for the sake of coming and just being visible. That those things will not kind of work out. But so before we kind of open it to everybody, I had a few questions that I wanted to ask.
Please,
If it's okay, then
please,
I just
please, please ask.
so one thing is that if if I was in a student's position, right? I'm listening to this discussion with you, and I want to ask you as to what are some of the things, concrete things I should do while I am studying at UPS or anywhere else, so that it will kind of increase the probability that I will get to this 1 crore rupee salary sooner than later.
Yeah. So it's a very good question, because what typically happens is people get stuck. A lot of in corporate world, a lot of people get stuck between the salary of 40 to 60, 65, 70 crores. And you will keep moving between that number. So either very quickly you are on a fast track where you would know that you will make a crore rupee, or you will get stuck. So that difference has to begin while you are in college itself. Everything that you do has to start at that point. Ideally, when you were doing graduation. But वो समय निकल गया है. Now you're doing post graduation. So if I've had to redo my career again, I will probably speak one or two more. I would learn one language more. I would try
Mhm.
and see, okay, how am I going to be different in an interview process? For example, if I speak Mandarin, one of the biggest trading companies or manufacturing trading partners or manufacturing partner for the rest of the world is China. If I speak Mandarin, and any Indian organization which is hiring for themselves and they have operations in China, I am a better candidate than Rahul or Anisha or anybody else. I have added value to myself. In that interview, I'll be a superstar. So you have to go in an interview. So that what you do in interview 2 years from now begins 6 months or 3 months from you're joining the MBA program. You have to be very, very clear. You have to enjoy your 2 years. You have to learn, study well, uh, enjoy the experience of the management education, which is the benefits of the MBA program. But also be very clear that this is the kind of industry that I want to work. Now, it is possible that when you start your career, you may not be in that industry after 2 or 3 years, and that's absolutely fine. But you would know from the university that these are the salary benchmarks. If KPMG will hire you in consulting, you will get paid so much. If you get into technology consulting, you'll get paid so much. How do you get into a VC organization, VC track? How if you work in pharmaceuticals, telecommunications? So I'm sure your career services team will be able to tell you, you know what, these companies have come to campus last year. You can find out, talk to your seniors, figure it out, start networking with them. But I would start figuring it out. What do I do to differentiate myself from all my friends who are my batchmates? When you're looking at a job, there is no friend. Everybody is a competitor. Everybody within your campus is a competitor. Everybody in the MBA program, in some other organization, some other institute is also a competitor. How do you become better than them? Why should somebody hire you? So when we are evaluating candidates, let's say earlier today, I had a meeting with somebody a client, they wanted to hire a CXO for a large automobile organization. And I was part of that meeting for some reasons. So the meeting was to evaluate those clients. So it was about cultural fitment. It was in past, what else has a candidate done? If you're a student, are you active in sports? What all are you doing? Everything that you do over here in those 2 years, if you do it smartly, it will have a lot of value, which will not be visible to you today. For example, being in Dehradun, I think a lot of treks in the Himalayan region in India begin from Dehradun. It's a great opportunity to experience a very different lifestyle, which is socially active, physically active, and you learn survival skills. UPS is a great place to be. You can do a lot of treks, you can enjoy, experience India in a very different manner, and also learn things differently, and you will build a new set of network. I would strongly recommend learn skills, do as much as networking as possible, and try and identify one or two industries in which you have interest and learn more about it.
So, yeah. Now, I was also curious to know, for a lot of the candidates, so let's say 50% of the candidates, this is their first or second job,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And at this point of time, and they have less work experience or no work experience, and they're sitting in an interview, let's say what are some of the things that they are getting evaluated on? Because they don't have a track history, right? They haven't done those, years
Right,
and all that. They
right.
don't have that work experience. So, what is a potential recruiter looking at?
Uh, I think if I had to use just one word, that is curiosity.
Okay.
That's it.
Mhm.
If you bring curiosity and enthusiasm, an organization will train you for everything. You may know nothing about supply chain today, and it's
Mhm.
absolutely fine. You may
Mhm.
know nothing about pharmaceutical marketing, and when you join a pharma company, they'll train you everything. But you have to show curiosity, and that is very, very obvious in an interview. You have to bring enthusiasm to table. दो चीजें ले आओ,
Mhm.
job मिल जाएगा. Just bring these two things, minimum, the
Mhm.
minimum thing. Don't go to an interview saying, I don't even know what this company does.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, and it's my first screen, the second screen was from Three Idiots. I mean,
Mm.
we've all been at that point where we didn't know हम क्यों क्या कर रहे हैं. When I mean, I finished my management program and I joined a pharma company because that was the first company which came to my campus, and I took that job because I wanted a job. And then I moved from one industry to the other, figuring out what is it that I want to do. But in each one of the jobs, when today I'm hiring, for every job, whether I'm hiring for A, B, or C industry, I will always look at the fact, does this guy bring his A game to a discussion? Has he prepared for that?
Mhm.
Then we can always talk about the specifics much later. I mean, if you're writing in your resume that I love cricket, you should at least know who are the captains of IPL teams, or what is happening in cricket. If you say, I love reading, you should be able to talk about the authors that you've read about. So if you're writing something on your resume, you should be able to explain that. And it's not rocket technology. I mean, if you
Mhm.
say, I love Marathi literature, then I would ask, okay, have you heard of Pula Deshpande? And if you say, I have not heard of, I've heard, but I have not read, I can understand. But if you say, I have not heard, then I would definitely judge you for that. So and there could be similar questions on everything. I mean, you say I've done something, be enthusiastic about it. Enjoy the interview process also. You will end up learning something. You're networking with somebody.
Mhm. Right. I think that's a very interesting thing. That's a good thought that you should also enjoy the interview process. And even though we might think it's an unequal process, like because the power is with the person who's going to select me, but at the same time, it can be fun. Like, in a lot of interviews, when we are coaching our students to sit in interviews, a couple of things we tell them is like, of course, read about the company, right?
Yeah,
And then I tell them that do prepare for one question that you want to ask the company. In a lot of
yeah,
interviews, the company would ask them, is there anything you want to know? Yeah.
correct.
And I've seen so many students and even candidates that I interview for roles at UPS, they don't have any question they want to ask. Like,
Yeah.
like,
So
it,
as a student, the minimum you can do is to just have two things: have curiosity, learn about
mm,
the organization you're going to, at least check out the LinkedIn page, unki website dekh lo, know the guy. Has he worked in some other company? Has he worked in some other industry?
mm,
And have one question, two questions. Be curious. What is the worst? You will not get a job. That's a
mm,
worst thing to happen. But the good thing is the guy will go back and remember, you know what? I met somebody over there. He's a fabulous guy.
mm,
And if we tomorrow are hiring in corporate communications or we are hiring in sales, we should definitely talk to this guy. Bring him in. When you are a student giving an interview, always remember somebody on the other side is desperate to find the right manpower.
mm,
The interviewer is equally desperate. It is not that the balance of power is on the other side.
mm. That's a
No.
good point.
Yeah, the other guy is saying, boss, give me the minimum, I'll give you the job.
Okay.
You give me the minimum.
Mhm.
There is huge dearth of talented, employable people.
Mhm.
We have people who are educated. That doesn't mean they're talented and employable. You give the bare minimum, the interviewer will say, "Wonderful, when are you joining?"
Mhm. No,
So you
that's.
actually control the entire narrative.
Mhm.
If you bring your A game, the jobs are there.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. So I think now, I mean, this is probably my last question, and then we should open it for discussion. So others, right? Nowadays, I'm reading a lot about AI, and I think with AI, the more I read and learn, the less I know. It's such a big area, and we are also integrating AI in our curriculum. Our faculty is integrating a lot of these things into, whether it is generative AI or it is agentic AI, and we are doing all of that. But one one question that I have in mind, and or if I would be thinking about if I'm joining a B school today, is that how will I differentiate myself from AI 2 years down the line? What is that I need to do so that, of course, another student, another colleague can take my job, but nowadays even AI can take my job. So how do I be relevant in the age of
No.
AI, and what should I
Uh,
do now?
um, like everybody, like you are, we also ask these questions. These are critical questions, but I personally believe that the human intelligence and human relationship and human interaction will become more critical. So, in an interview, Jeff Bezos said the leadership team member have a job to take few very high value decisions. Their job is not to take a lot of decisions of low value.
Mhm.
So your job will not go to somebody because he or she is using AI. My job will go to somebody who's better read, better prepared, and taking better decisions because he or she understands the people better and can make them do a better job. Some jobs will be taken over by AI. That's fair enough. I mean, when the industrial revolution happened, I'm sure a lot of jobs went to industrial revolution. When computerization came, a lot of job moved, right? But people got another set of jobs. There will be new set of jobs with this also. That is not worry. The worry would be, are you using technology to make it better? AI is a tool. You have to use a tool to your benefit. But the job will not go because of AI. The job will go because we are not involved in our job to make others better as a leader. If we keep improving others and we can keep um, bringing the output could be in manufacturing, could be in revenue, could be sales, could be a better PhD program, a better student cohort, a better placement for a university, every industry will have a different measure. uh, Balance, I'm sure, like you, we will also learn as AI starts becoming more integrated. And in our organization also, we use AI for many things. But that I think when we are hiring more people now, because we understand we can be more productive and we can probably take better decision in and a couple of things AI can support us in or tell us, this is another way to look at things.
Right, right. Okay, I think on that note, we should kind of open the discussion to for the participants. So, guys, this is an opportunity to ask questions. I think there's a Q&A feed available, and please type your questions, and I'm going to read. Okay, so I think there are questions like there is a question on in strategy and consulting course. Will we land up in a job like a management consultancy firm? Uh, okay, so maybe this I can answer, maybe you can also answer, but so this is a very interesting question. This Ansh has asked this question, I think very deep. And how should we introspect to become somebody who can earn better? What questions should we ask ourselves? So thank you very much, Ansh, for this question. I think you've kind of asked such a beautiful, deep question. You heard that, Adarsh? Uh,
It's a good question. You have to start by asking, what is it that you want? Is money that important for you? If it is, then you will find the means. because every industry is different. There is no one set of rule for everybody. Every industry is different. For example, if you're working in a gaming company, right? In gaming company, the coders build games. If you're an amazing creator of games, you will earn a crore rupee in the third year. Forget after 10 or 15 years, right? You don't need to wait that long. So you will decide in your industry, how are you solving it? And the question to ask is, what is it that you really want? Remember, there's always a trade-off. You will end up probably working 15, 16, 18 hours a day versus somebody who will say, you know what, this is not that important for me. I also need to do work-life harmony, and I want weekends off, no work. These are choices that we will take. Some of us will work on weekdays only and still reach a number. It's a function of industry and function of your intent. Earning a crore rupee or $1 million is, the process is same. It is not different. You have to be different from what others are in that room. You have to bring your A game, and you have to be able to prove that you will deliver the numbers. The interviewer is not, never imagine that the interviewer is foolish. The interviewer is smart. He will read through your resume. He will also research on you. And he will figure out whether whether you are adding value to him or not. If you're adding value and you can find out, ask those questions, how you can add value, what is it that you want? I suspect that could be a beginning point.
Right. I think that's the great, like, because if you're adding better value, then you'll get better value. I think in the commercial space, that's how.
Yeah.
Now, this is an interesting question. I mean, I'll just read it like it is, what top bad qualities make you not want to hire somebody? I think, like, you have good qualities. What are the bad qualities which are a no-no?
There's a long list, and I'm sure,
Your
Rahul,
top
you can.
one, Adarsh.
My top one is people being unprofessional, rude, impolite, not even
Mhm.
not even doing the basic homework of figuring it out. आप किस कंपनी में इंटरव्यू देने आए हो?
बिल्कुल.
I have seen people who coming कि अच्छा सर आप लोग करते क्या हैं? I mean, you really, the interview only goes down from there. There are some people who just probably wake up and say चलो इंटरव्यू में बैठ जाते हैं, थोड़ा होमवर्क कर लो. Being unprofessional, being rude.
Okay, so I don't understand what it is, but this question, thank you for this session, very helpful. Can you tell us what is the minimum, like you said, and how do you know the minimum is? Okay, so maybe he's asking, what is the minimum that the interviewer is looking for? Like you mentioned that, आप मेरे को minimum दे दो, I'll hire you. What are some of the basic things you're looking for? ये मिल गया तो we'll hire you.
So yeah, it would depend. It's a different thing at different levels. So if you are, let's say, just finishing a management program and you are a fresher, the minimum I would expect is that you've come professionally prepared, you've done some homework about the company, the industry, you've read a little bit, and you show basic enthusiasm and you understand वो करते क्या हैं, and a job that you're going to do, you can justify that is you have interest in that job. If you can show that much, that will immediately put you in the maybe the top 10 or 15% of the total number of people, because a lot of people will not do all these things. अगर आप इतना कर लोगे ना, ये मिनिमम है, आप इतना कर लोगे, उसके ऊपर आप anything else that you've done. For example, you've done summer training in that sector, right? So you would be able to talk about it, because as an interviewer, I'll think I will save 3 months of my training, because everybody that I bring in, I have to train that person to deliver more. If I can save 3 months of my training, my profitability with that person is that much faster. My ROI on that employee is that much faster.
Right. So there is this question, I think it's a straightforward answer for me. I can give this is I have a 4-year work experience in consulting. How hard it is to switch to a finance role or vice versa? I don't think so. It's hard enough. MBAs are like a reset switch in some sense. Like you do an MBA because you want to switch careers, and the recruiters like Adarsh and others who come to our campus know that people are actually doing this because they want a reset. So it's easy to do that. If you're looking to do a switch to finance, we have launched a very interesting program with Ernst and Young in strategic finance. Very, very good program. High quality people from Ernst and Young. You're going to come and teach, and good internships and placements. So you may want to look at that. Um, this another question is on how to make yourself more visible to the world. Even if we are an extrovert, of course, then you will be. How can I express myself more to other people? I think that's a question maybe you want to take up, Other.
Again, if you're an extrovert, then it's a very different. You have to use the tools that you have, right? There are people who, let's say, if you're from the IT background, you will use a tool like GitHub, and whatever you've done, you'll put it out there for the world to see, evaluate, and then find you. It all depends on what your strength is. If you're an artist, you will look at the tools which will make you become valuable, become visible for others. But otherwise, the simplest things, the bare minimum, if you have to ask me, would be make sure your resume is professionally updated, it's made well, you have a LinkedIn profile. These are the very, very, very basic things. You don't have to talk to anybody to do a LinkedIn profile. You have that, you have the right keywords, and you are updating it at least, if not every week, then at least every 15 days. You may not have enough that you have done, but you could go and comment on somebody else's content. You could work with a couple of friends. You've done a research in the university as part of that. Put your white paper out there, talk about what you've done. That will help build your network. The larger network you have, your network leads to your net worth also, but you obviously have to add value to that. So you can use a lot of tools today which are available to be visible. Yeah.
So I think a related question that if every person will do the same branding that you shared, then how will we stand out?
It's a very good question. By this logic, everybody should be Amitabh Bachchan.
Yes.
Everybody should be Shah Rukh Khan and everybody should be Hrithik Roshan, right? By the same logic. They are not. People don't do it, and each one of us is different. Each one of us will find our own ways of expressing and our own ways of building. So for some of us, eh, we could diversify, move into another set of roles. But a lot of people will still not do the minimum. They will not even, they will have grammatical errors in their resume, even after 15 years of work. They will not even use Grammarly. आप Grammarly use कर लीजिए, आप अपने आप अलग हो जाएंगे.
Right. So, a interesting question है, which is, I think there are two questions, others, which are very related. And between salary and work-life balance, which should be the priority, at least in your 30s and early 40s? So that's one question. The second is, how can I align my personal growth with long-term career impact so that I'm just not chasing roles, but actually building a legacy? And before you answer that, Adarsh, I want to take your permission to answer it how
Please.
Naval Ravikant, who is this big
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
philosopher, VC guy, answered it. He said, think of it like this, and everybody think of this like three stages in your career. He said, in the first stage of a career, which is between, let's say, early 20s and maybe early 30s, be a mercenary, right? So you go and get roles which will, you will learn a lot, you will earn money, and you'll also work very hard in that sense, right? You'll have to give the 16 hours that you do that. He said the second part of your life is where you're more missionary, right? You're like, I'm driven by mission and this. I want to only do this kind of work. And then mission can also be, he says, like, I want to spend time with my family, I want to spend time with myself. And in the last stage, which is probably some of these guys are saying maybe around 50s onwards, he said, I'm focused on impact. Like, what is the long lasting difference I want to bring in this world? And he said, like, most people, if they followed this process, when you're younger, more aspiration, more hunger, mercenary, missionary, once you have, let's say, 10 years of work X, you can choose the kind of roles you want to do, where do you want to put your energy. And and finally, you focused on your legacy, your impact in the world, in your family, yourself. I really loved that analogy and the way he makes it all clear. But you have seen more than him. So tell us.
No, I don't think anything can be added to that. That's a beautiful explanation. I will. only say most people never reach the third part because most of us give up. And this is an example that I gave earlier, ki a lot of people get stuck between 40 and 60, 65 lakh rupees, and we stay in that bandwidth. और हमें लगता है इतना बहुत है.
Mhm.
अम, अब इससे ज्यादा मेहनत कैसे करेंगे? मतलब बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगा, घर भी है. Maybe at some point when you have children are growing up,
Mm.
you want that stability, you can't take a shift, or you may not want to do so much more. It all depends on what your personal goals are, and everybody should have different goals. I mean, Indra Newey is a very, very good example for me. I take a lot of inspiration from her, how she's went out and how her mother supported her. So there are people who have done extremely well, and then there are people who have done extremely well with spending the time with their families also in a very different manner, and not made maybe that kind of money. I have all kinds of friends. Each one of them is successful in their own way. So your personal ambition should be defined by you. But if you have to divide them into three parts of this life, that's a very good way to look at it. It will also help you define तुम्हें क्या नहीं करना. It is possible कि you may say कि you know what, I really don't want to earn so much money. I'm very, very happy where I am. And if you find happiness, I mean, happiness is the most difficult thing to get. If you can find joy and happiness in whatever you're doing, continue doing that. Leave your job, start a bakery if you think that makes you happy. Do that. Become a writer. चेतन भगत did it very successfully. वो डांस शो जज कर रहा है. मतलब उससे ज्यादा क्या हो सकता है? Your what you do today doesn't define what you'll do in future. What you do today is a beginning point. You can always reset your life and start it again. Learn new things. Nobody's stopping you to learn new things. Go into a new industry.
So there is this question, and I think maybe it'll apply to a lot of us who have had failures in life, right? So there is a student who is asking, after completing my BTech in mechanical engineering, I prepared for civil services and then I couldn't clear it. And there's a gap. Will it impact my placement? And I think Adarsh, I would love you to answer it. But before that, I want to kind of, really congratulate and thank Saurav that you raised this question and you were like brave enough to say that, yeah, this is what has happened to me. And the fact that in an interview or in any setting like this, where you accept, yeah, theek hai, I did my best. I gave my 100% to civil services and I couldn't clear. And I have the courage to again restart and I did my MBA and that's why I'm here. I think a lot of interviewer, and if I was interviewing a candidate like that who was so honest, earnest, courageous, that's like all plus plus for me. But what do you think, Adar?
Uh, Maybe 10 years back, this would have been baggage. But
Mm.
I think it's a strength right now. Whether you've taken a gap because you were preparing for civil services, you were preparing for medical examination, for that you took a gap, or whatever reason you took a gap, if you can explain that and justify, this is what I was trying to do. Or I took a year off because I was trekking across Himalayas. That was my passion in life. Or I was trying to write a book, or I was trying to do this. And you can show something that you have done. If you can show that, people will respect you for that. Take it in another manner. I mean, the last CEO of Twitter, I think his name was Parag. He
Parag
had
Agrawal.
Parag. He had 7 large gaps on his resume. I mean, it became a very a matter of amusement within the HR community. Would you ever recommend that guy? Would you ever hire that kind of guy? But you bring something to the table. And today, for example, let's say you work in a startup, right? And the startup shuts down. Is that a negative thing? No, not at all. You've learned an experience. I will not use the word failure. I'll say you will either earn or you will either learn. There are no failures. Just because you attempted a civil services exam, didn't get selected, doesn't mean you didn't learn something at that point of time. You have to use a narrative to your advantage. If you keep telling yourself, I failed in this, I failed in this, your mind will start telling you that you are a failure. But if you tell yourself, I learned something during that process, that happened. I'm doing something else now. That's a positive mindset.
Mm. So there is this question, I think, and a lot of our students do ask this question. He says that basically, the first couple of years of my life, I get into a job which is not paying much, but it is in the area of my interest. Like, let's say, maybe the tech jobs are paying, but I'm interested in finance, but those jobs are not paying too much. Or I remember some of my batchmates, engineering college batchmates, joined a foundry. Yeah, those
Hmm.
jobs were not
Oh.
paying well
Hmm.
then, right? They were like,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
but what I have realized is this career is like a marathon. So I caught up with
Yeah.
a batchmate of mine who joined this a local foundry, and today he's like leading a steel plant, earning at least 3x of what I do. So,
Hmm.
have you seen, examples like these where people in the initial part of their career are not earning much, but
Yeah.
eventually they do catch up?
So a lot of large Indian business houses may be conservative when you start careers with them, but your longevity over there and your productivity over there will take maybe 4 or 5 years or 7, 8 years, depending on which company we're talking about. Your salary will jump. And when you move out of that place, you can get a valuation which is unreal, a high valuation. So again, if you're enjoying that job, you should do it. You should never take a job which is high paying but it is toxic. It's not worth it. Nothing in your life will be worth it. If you enjoy it, great. If the salary is less, it's okay. It will at some point peak out, but you have to continuously work on that, reaching that point also.
Right. And careers are marathons. They're not like
Yeah.
sprints, right?
Now,
I think with an average lifespan of maybe 70 to 75 for Indians now, it's fair to assume that you would have at least, if you're 25 today, you would have at least 40 years of productive life, right?
yeah.
Maybe you 40 or 45 years of productive life.
Mm.
And if it's a marathon, then you might as well enjoy it, right? Otherwise,
Correct. Correct.
don't kind of run it. Now, two quick questions. So one is that if you are if you're a fresher and no work experience, how would I stand out or compete with people who have work experience? Hello, have I Tarun, have I can you hear me? Have I lost?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. I
I
think
hear you.
others network
Is
has some
okay.
issue.
Okay. And okay, while other joins in, so there is one question that I think I really wanted to answer. There are a lot of questions of what should I do, how can I create an edge, um, you know, this one question on common pitfalls, mistake in finance jobs, and all that. Um,
Sorry,
I
I think I dropped out.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the question was that how do you, if you have no work experience, how do you compete with people with work experience? You're a
Why do you
fresher.
need to, yeah, but why need you to compete with them? There are people who are hiring freshers. You will have work experience once you join into a role. People
Mhm.
want freshers also because you want people to learn your company culture. If I'm hiring, I would want somebody, if I'm hiring 20 freshers, I want them to learn first with me so that they can learn my company culture. I don't want to spend time undoing something that they've learned somewhere else. I would want them at a senior level. I don't want them at the same level. If I'm getting somebody who's experienced, I want him to deliver to me yesterday as soon as he joins. For a fresher, I'll give 3 or 6 months of runway to learn. So there is no competition. These are two different worlds, and they can work parallelly very well.
Right. And I think maybe we can end with this last question, and I'll kind of paraphrase this question that in this journey of, let's say, earning a good salary. I mean, we had a provocative this thing that how to earn a crore or $1 million and all of that, but the journey is really of having a very rewarding career, whether it is doing good work, whether it is getting good salary, good roles, and satisfaction in life. What are some of the common mistakes you can make and how to avoid them in this long journey?
Don't have a short-term view. Always work in the benefit of the organization that you're working and enjoy that. Uh, Burning out too early is useless because then you're not of value to the organization where you're working. Don't be toxic. Don't bring politics to the workspace. And if you do good, build a team, motivate others to work with you, this will be at every stage of your life, whether you are a fresher, whether you've got 5 years of experience, whether you've got 25 years of experience, you will continue to add value. You will continue to get leadership roles. The leadership roles at a crore, 4 crore, 5 crore or more, none of these people are searching for jobs. Most of them are not searching for jobs. When we hire people at a middle, these are not people who are searching for jobs. These people have to be headhunted. They have to be convinced. People will say, "अरे आपने राहुल से बात किया क्या?" So people will talk about you because of what you have delivered. So if you can continue doing that, continue achieving success, enjoy what you're doing, and have a good time while you're doing that along with your family and your organization, you continue doing that. I think that's a recipe for your own success at any level wherever you are. People hire people who can add value to their organization, and not those people who bring toxicity or who bring trouble, who bring stress. Why would I pay money to somebody जो मुझे ही परेशान करेगा?
I think
If you
that's
can add value, yeah.
yeah. And I think you said a very nice thing, in over this 40, 50 years of journey, I mean, people underestimated how important it is to be likable. Like you're a
Yeah.
nice person, and people want to have nice employees. Not everybody wants an IQ of 140 or
No.
180. We're not trying to solve third-degree quadratic equations. So we need to be likable, team player, and I mean, this is what I've experienced. That for the first few years of your life, maybe first 4 or 5 years, people are hiring you for your technical skills. Yeah. And after that, people are hiring you to, solve problems, to work in teams, your behavioral skills. How do you kind of motivate a large number of people to get to a point where you're
Yeah.
not doing something? And I believe in that, likability is great. And so thanks, Adarsh. And I think I just want to add a few things that to everybody who's like, listening to us, uh, a school like UPS, and I won't say just UPS, any good business school, and we are a good business school. We have all the tools, we have good faculty, we have good classrooms, we have good pedagogy. We have, like people like you advising us on how to help students get a good career. We have AI integration. We're just doing this XR, VR, bringing that into the classroom so that they become experiential. So we have everything, right? And I think if any student wants to take benefit of this, there is one thing that they will have to bring to the table, which is ownership. At the end of the day, Adarsh, and all the students that are
Yeah.
listening, it is their career is at stake, right? They are doing the MBA. We are there to help them. We are facilitators, right? We can give them the tools, we can help them. But if every student of mine takes ownership that I want to, get this 1 crore rupee salary, your and my job will be so much kind of easier. They will get the full juice out of this 2 year experience, and then we can sleep well at night.
Yeah.
And
Rahul, if I may add to it, salary is a number. You can decide your own number. An organization, wherever you work, if you're contributing, they'll help you get that number. But you have to add value. You have to help them move the needle. If you're just one of the hundreds of people working in that organization, you will not make a difference and you will not grow. You will have that 5, 7, 8, 10% increment every year. If your aspiration is, and this is to all the potential students who are going to do an MBA program, wherever it is, if your aspiration is to move into that leadership, read about the business school that you're going to join, look at the alumni that they have, look at the kind of work that they have done, look at the focus on incubation, innovation, research, outcome of education. These things are important. But select a school where you will enjoy that 2 years. These are very important life shaping years of your life, and enjoy that. The success in job is depending on you in what you do now to end of management will decide your career, and you can continuously change it. आप अपना इंडस्ट्री चेंज कर सकते हैं, कंपनी चेंज कर सकते हैं, अपना करियर पाथ चेंज कर सकते हैं. You will have to take ownership. I agree with you, Rahul, on what you said. And all the best to all the students over here who are looking at their career. I look forward to seeing some of you in UPES.
And thanks so much, Adarsh, taking this valuable time of yours and helping us students understand this journey of, earning millions of dollars. And I hope to see you on campus soon, and maybe there'll be an opportunity for you to kind of come to a classroom and, interact with these students.
I'd look forward to that. Thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks. Take care. And thanks everybody for joining in. I think we tried answering all the questions, but there are some which are still unanswered. And so our team will kind of get back to you. If there are very specific questions around programs and streams, we will get back to you. And on that note, thanks very much and have a good day.